Have you ever heard the silence at the bottom of the sea, kid? I'm not talking about regular silence. It's not the quiet of a library or an empty church. I'm talking about the kind of silence that weighs on your shoulders like a granite tombstone. The kind that crawls into your ears and settles in your skull like a living thing, slithering, waiting. It's the silence of a place where light has never touched, where the water pressure above, you could crush a main battle tank like it was a tin can, where every creature that survives is a freak of nature translucent eyes, jaws unhinging to swallow prey 3 times their size, bioluminescence blinking in the dark like invitations to hell. I knew that silence once. And let me tell you something, kid. The silence down there has teeth. The year is 1987, March, Pacific Ocean, southwest of Guam. The waters above the Mariana Trench, the deepest place on Earth. 11 kilometers of black water separating you from the surface. 7 miles between you and the sunlight. 7 miles between you and any kind of divine mercy. The U.S. Navy was conducting what they called Operation Silent Cartography. Nice name for a dirty job. The Cold War was still creaking like ice breaking under the feet of 2 drunk giants. The Russians had nuclear subs gliding through the currents like ghost sharks. And us? We needed maps. Maps of the ocean floor. Maps of the trenches. Maps of where enemy subs could hide when the world finally decided to blow itself up. They sent the DSV Nautilus-7, a deep-sea research submersible. Reinforced titanium, 6-inch thick walls, 3-man crew. The pilot, Commander Robert Haas, veteran of 17 prior descents. The engineer, Marcus Webb, pressure systems specialist. And the scientist, Dr. Alan Carver, a marine biologist who spent 20 years studying abyssal creatures. 3 men, 1 metal capsule, and a simple mission: descend to the deepest point ever reached by humans, collect audio samples, and return. Simple. The last radio transmission from the Nautilus-7 was received at 3:47 a.m. local time. The voice was Commander Haas, calm, professional, but there was something on the edge of his words, like a hairline crack in tempered glass. You only catch it when the light hits at the right angle. Base, this is Nautilus-7. Depth, 10,850 meters. All systems green. Commencing acoustic sweep in T-minus 5 minutes. Pause. Base, confirm receipt. We are detecting sonar interference. Irregular echoes to the southeast of our position. Does not match known topography. Another pause. Longer this time. And then, Webb's voice in the background, distant but audible. Jesus Christ. Rob... Are you seeing this? Haas's breathing got heavier on the radio. When he spoke again, the professionalism had evaporated. Base, we need visual confirmation from satellite. There is something moving down here. Something massive. Repeating, we have visual contact with an unidentified object approximately 200 meters out. Does not match any cataloged life form. Requesting static. 3 seconds of cutting white noise. And then, one final sentence, whispered, as if Haas was afraid the thing could hear him through the titanium hull. Something is watching us from the dark water. The transmission cut. For the next 48 hours, the Navy moved heaven and earth literally. Rescue ships, long-range sonar, recovery subs, even satellites were redirected. They scoured every square inch of the region. 0 contact. 0 debris. 0 sign of the Nautilus-7. It was as if the submersible had been swallowed by the darkness itself. But here's the part they don't tell you in the official reports, kid. The part sealed in classified files until 2037. The part I only know because I drank enough rum with a retired sonar operator who still wakes up screaming in the middle of the night. 3 days after the disappearance, a recovery sub went down to the search zone, and they found something. Not the Nautilus-7, not wreckage, not bodies. They found marks, deep gouges in the ocean floor, immense furrows as if something colossal had dragged tentacles or claws or fingers, or whatever the hell it was, through the mud and basalt rock. The trenches were nearly 10 feet wide each, and they stretched for over a mile in a straight line before disappearing ... going down into crevices even deeper. Crevices that not even our most advanced sonar could map. But the worst part, Kid wasn't the marks. It was the sound. You ever hear of the bloop? In 1997, NOAA detected an ultra-low frequency sound in the South Pacific. A roar. A wail. Something so loud it was picked up by hydrophones over 3,000 miles away. They never identified the source. The official explanation? Probably an iceberg breaking. Probably. Convenient. But what they don't tell you is that the bloop wasn't the first. In 1987, 2 months before the Nautilus-7 vanished, those same hydrophones picked up something different. Not a roar. Not a wail. A knock. Rhythmic. Methodical. Like someone rapping on a metal door with their knuckles. Knock. 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 5 seconds of silence. Knock. Knock. 5 seconds of silence. For 7 consecutive hours. And then it stopped. Exactly the moment the Nautilus-7 began its descent. Now tell me, sailor, do you believe in coincidences? Because after 50 years sailing these cursed seas, I can guarantee you one thing. The ocean doesn't do coincidences. The ocean makes invitations. The ocean makes traps. The ocean makes promises it can't keep and threats it always delivers on. And down, deep down, where the darkness is so dense you can taste it on your tongue, where the pressure is so intense that time itself seems to slow down where no man should go. Something was waiting. Something that didn't want to be found. Something that doesn't like it when you knock back. The official files say the Nautilus-7 suffered a catastrophic systems failure due to extreme pressure. They say it was an accident. They say the bodies were never recovered because the implosion would have been instantaneous. The men would have been vaporized before they even realized what was happening. Merciful, right? But I saw the tape, kid. The tape they didn't destroy. The tape forgotten in a locked drawer at an abandoned naval base in the Philippines. The tape a buddy of mine managed to smuggle out before he fell off the map. It was the last 3 minutes of internal footage from the Nautilus-7, and I swear to you on my damned soul, that was no implosion. The camera was shaking. Internal lighting was flickering emergency red, cutting the gloom like the pulse of a dying heart. You could hear the hull groaning. Not the normal groan of metal under pressure. It was different. It was ... organic, like bones breaking in slow motion. Webb was screaming, checking the gauges. Structural integrity at 40%. This shouldn't be happening. We were rated for. And then Carver, the scientist, pointed to the observation board. His hand was trembling, so bad it looked like he had Parkinson's. There? Are you seeing that? The camera panned, and kid ... something was looking inside. It wasn't an eye, like you know. It wasn't like a whale's eye or a giant squid's. It was ... wrong. The iris, if you can call it, that was divided into concentric rings spinning in opposite directions. 3 layers, each pulsing with its own light. Bioluminescent blue so intense it lit up the interior of the sub. And the pupil? The pupil was a void. It wasn't black. It was an absence. It was the kind of darkness that eats light. The eye was at least 6 feet across, and it was pressed against the viewport, studying, analyzing, recognizing. Haas whispered something the camera barely picked up. It's trying to get in, and then you hear it. At sound. Knock, knock, coming from outside the hull. Not random, not accidental, intentional, like something was testing the strength of a metal, looking for the weak point. looking for the seam, looking for the way in. Webb started praying. Carver threw up in his helmet. Haas tried to fire the emergency thrusters. And the camera caught one last detail before the recording cut. Reflected in the curved surface of the observation window, distorted, but unmistakable, you could see more eyes. Dozens of them. Hundreds. Opening in the darkness around the submersible like poisonous flowers blooming in the night. The recording ends with a sound no engineer could explain. It wasn't an implosion. It wasn't an explosion. It was ... suction. Like something opened a colossal mouth and inhaled the entire submersible. And then, silence. Do you still want to know what's down there, sailor? Do you still want to go down? Because I'll tell you one thing. The bottom of the ocean isn't the floor of the world. It's the ceiling of another one. And whatever lives on the other side, it's listening right now. Listening to you read this. Listening to your breathing speed up. Listening to the fear climbing your spine like ice water. Because you know, in the depths of your primitive ancestral soul, that I'm telling the truth. That there are things in this world that were not meant to be seen. That there are places where the light won't go because it's afraid of what it might find. And that sometimes, kid, when you stare into the abyss, the abyss has already been staring at you for a long time. But let me tell you how it all started. Because every curse has a beginning. Every monster has an origin. And every man who descends into hell, made a choice before taking the first step. Let's go back 6 months. September 1986. Naval Research Lab in San Diego, California. Dr. Alan Carver was sitting in a conference room with concrete walls and fluorescent lights that buzzed like flies trapped in a jar. In front of him, a polished mahogany table. On the other side, 3 men in gray suits who didn't introduce themselves. They didn't need to. You recognize intelligence agents by the way they don't blink when they lie. The man in the middle gray hair, thin scar on his left eyebrow, slid a sealed manila folder across the table. Dr. Carver, you've spent 2 decades studying abyssal ecosystems. Your specialty is extremophile life in high-pressure environments. Correct? Carver nodded. He was 42, but looked 60. 2 decades diving into places where the sun is just a legend had left his skin pale as old paper, his eyes sunken like caves. Then you'll understand the importance of what I'm about to show you. The agent opened the folder, sonar photos, bathymetric maps, and an image that made Carver's blood run cold. It was a formation on the seabed of the Mariana Trench. But it wasn't natural. It couldn't be. It had symmetry. It looked ... built. We picked this up in August, the agent said. Depth of 10,994 meters. The formation is approximately 2 kilometers in diameter. Perfect circular shape. And it is emitting a low-frequency acoustic signal every 72 hours. Carver picked up the photo with trembling hands. This is impossible. There is no tectonic activity that... We know it's impossible, Doctor. That is why you are here. The agent leaned forward. We want you to go down there. We want you to tell us what it is. And we want you to do it before the Russians find out. Carver should have refused. He should have thrown that folder back in their faces and walked out of that room. But he didn't, because every scientist has a demon whispering in their ear. The demon of curiosity. The demon that says, "What if?" The demon that promises immortality through discovery. Carver wanted his name in the history books. He wanted to be the man who found intelligent life in the abyss. He wanted to prove he wasn't crazy when he told colleagues there were patterns in the migrations of abyssal creatures. Patterns that suggested ... coordination. Communication. Something guiding them. So he said yes. And condemned himself and 2 other men. The crew was assembled in 3 weeks. Commander Robert Haas was the obvious choice. 51 years old. Ex-Navy SEAL, 20 years of experience in sub-ops. He had been down to the Mariana Trench twice before more than any other pilot alive at the time. Haas was the kind of man you want by your side when things go south. Calm voice, steady hands, eyes that had already seen the worst the world could offer. Or so he thought. The engineer, Marcus Webb, was 34, a genius with pressurization systems. Designed the emergency buoyancy system that saved a Russian bathyscaphe in '84. Married, 2 daughters, 1 7, 1 4. He shouldn't have been on that mission. His wife, Claire, begged him to refuse, said she had a bad feeling, said the girls needed their father, said it didn't matter how much the Navy paid, it wasn't worth it. Webb kissed her forehead and promised he'd be back in 10 days. He didn't keep that promise. The Nautilus-7 was transported to the Pacific on a Navy cargo ship that was officially conducting training exercises. The area was declared a temporary exclusion zone. No civilian ships, no commercial planes, no witnesses. They arrived at the drop point on March 14, 1987, at 2,300 hours. The ocean was calm, too calm, not a wave, not a breeze, as if the sea itself was holding its breath. Carver remembers standing on the deck, staring at the black water, and having the impression irrational, impossible, that the water was staring back. He shook his head, chalked it up to nerves. Big mistake. The descent began at 0100 hours. The Nautilus-7 was lowered by a crane to the surface and then released from the cables. The thrusters activated with a low hum. External lights cut the darkness like knives. For the first 1,000 meters, everything was normal. They passed through the sunlight zone. Blue waters, vibrant, full of life. Fish swimming in silver schools. Jellyfish pulsing like transparent hearts. Then came the 2,000 meters. The twilight zone. Sunlight died here. Colors disappeared. Everything turned gray, then indigo, then a sickly purple. The creatures changed too. Bigger eyes, translucent bodies, teeth too sharp for mouths too small. 3,000 meters. The midnight zone. Zero sunlight, zero plants. Just meat, just predators. Just things hunting in the dark with senses evolution never intended to exist. Webb was monitoring the systems. All green. Pressure increasing as predicted. Temperature dropping. The hull groaned softly, a comforting sound, actually. It meant the titanium was compressing within specs. Haas piloted with the precision of a surgeon, keeping the descent speed constant, adjusting the ballast. His eyes scanned the instruments in a constant pattern. Depth gauge, gyro, sonar, oxygen, battery. Carver was glued to the viewport, and he was the one who saw it first. "Commander," he said, voice tight, "cut speed. There's something strange on the temp readings." Haas frowned. "Explain." "The water is heating up. Slightly. But ... it shouldn't be. At this depth, temperature should be uniform. 2 degrees Celsius. But I'm measuring spikes of up to 5 degrees in localized pockets." Webb checked his own sensors. "He's right. It's like something is generating heat down there." Haas and Webb exchanged a look. Volcanic activity? Possible. The Mariana Trench had hydrothermal vents. Underwater chimneys vomiting superheated, mineral-rich water. Oasis of life in the middle of the abyssal desert. But the maps showed no volcanic activity in that sector. "Noted," Haas said. "We continue." They went down. 5,000 meters. 6,000. 7,000. The outside world ceased to exist. The Nautilus-7 was now the only point of light in a universe of absolute blackness. The external floods illuminated maybe 60 feet ahead. Beyond that, ... nothing. Just black on black on black. It was like being buried alive. Webb started to sweat, not from the heat, The sub's interior was kept at 65 degrees. But from the psychological pressure, from the claustrophobia, from the awareness that above him were 4 miles of water that could crush their titanium capsule like an egg. "You good?" Haz asked. Webb forced a smile. "Just thinking about my girls. You'll see them in a week. Promise." Another broken promise. 8,000 meters. The sonar began to show the seabed. Still a mile down, but the topography was becoming clear. And strange. Very strange. "Are you seeing this?" Carver murmured. The formation the agents had shown them was there. But on the sonar screen, with all its glory rendered in phosphorescent green lines, it didn't look like a geological formation. It looked like a spiral, like a Nautilus shell, or a galaxy, or an eye seen from above. And in the exact center, ... opening. A black hole in the ocean floor, perfectly circular, descending to depths the sonar couldn't penetrate. "My God," Webb whispered. "It's a rift that goes even deeper." Haas adjusted course. They needed to get close, but not directly over the opening. Procedure was to circle, collect data, and then decide if it was safe to investigate further. Procedure. Protocols. As if those things mattered in the abyss. 9,000 meters. The hull walls were groaning louder now. Not dangerously, still within specs. But the sound was ... uncomfortable, intimate, like the ocean was squeezing the Nautilus-7 between invisible fingers, testing how much tighter it could squeeze before something snapped. "Stabilizing at 9,500, Haas announced. "Let's do a full sweep before dropping the last 1,000. That was when the sonar blinked. Not a glitch, not interference. A contact, something big moving 500 meters out. "Unknown contact," Webb said, voice jumping an octave. "Moving towards us. Speed. Jesus, 12 knots. At this depth? Nothing should move that fast at this depth." The pressure made every movement a Herculean effort. Abyssal creatures were slow, economical, conserving every precious calorie. But that thing was accelerating. "Activate external cameras," Haas ordered. "All of them. Now." Webb hit the switches. 6 high-def cameras mounted around the hull flared to life, their feeds splitting the main screen into a mosaic of darkness and light. For 10 seconds, nothing. Just marine snow organic debris falling slowly like ash from a distant fire. And then, on camera 3 angled downward a shadow passed, not through the beam of light, under it, as if something massive was swimming between the Nautilus-7 and the ocean floor. Something that blocked the light reflecting off the bedrock below. "Size?" Haas asked, voice still calm, but his knuckles white on the yoke. Webb checked the sonar. "I can't. Contact is too diffuse. It's like it's too big for the sonar to process correctly. Computer is giving a read error." Carver pressed his face against the viewport, eyes wide. "There. Look there." Haas swung the spots in the direction Carver was pointing. And for a brief, terrible moment, ... they saw it. It wasn't a fish. It wasn't a whale. It wasn't a squid. It was elongated, serpentine, but with an impossible thickness like someone had stretched a bus until it was 150 feet long. The skin, if it was skin, was translucent, allowing you to see internal structures pulsing with bioluminescent light. Blue, purple, green. Colors that didn't have names. It had no visible eyes, but it had mouths, multiple mouths, running the entire length of its body. Not mouths with teeth. Mouths that were just ... openings, vertical slits opening and closing, sucking in water, filtering ... something. And as it passed through the spotlight beam, all those mouths turned toward the Nautilus-7, as if they could sense their presence, as if they could taste the metal, as if they could taste the fear sweating from the pores of the men inside. The creature slid out of the light and vanished into the gloom. Nobody said anything for 5 whole seconds. Then Webb threw up. Not much, just a bit of bile, but enough to leave the inside of the sub smelling like acid and terror. "What the hell was that?" he gasped. Carver was shaking. Not with fear, though there was plenty of that, but with excitement, with recognition. "I knew it," he whispered. "I always knew. There is intelligent life down here. There has to be. Something is orchestrating this. Something is—" "Doctor," Haas interrupted, voice sharp as a whip. "Have you ever seen anything like that before?" Carver shook his head. Nothing even remotely close. But the behavior, the way it moved, it wasn't random. It was curious. It was the sonar pinged a high pitch. Another contact, then another, and another, and another. In a matter of seconds, the sonar screen was dotted with dozens of contacts, all moving in circles around the Nautilus-7, all maintaining exact distance, as if they were ... measuring, assessing, hunting. "Commander," Webb said, and now there was pure panic in his voice. "We need to ascend. Now." Haas was already reaching for the emergency ballast controls, but Carver grabbed his arm. Wait, we can't leave now. Do you understand what we're seeing? This is the discovery of the century. Maybe the greatest discovery in human history. We can't just—" "Doctor," Haas said calmly, but there was steel in his eyes. "Get your hand off my arm." "Now." Carver let go, but he didn't stop talking. "Just 10 more minutes. Just let me collect some water samples, some environmental readings. Please, you don't understand. I spent 20 years waiting for." The hull shuddered. Not a tremor, not turbulence, an impact. Something hit them, hard. Alarms exploded to life. Red lights flashed. Webb was shouting, checking systems. Structural integrity at 95%. No hull breach. But something just hit us with a force of at least another impact. This one was harder. The Nautilus-7 spun 20 degrees to port. Haas fought the controls, trying to stabilize. Loose equipment flew across the cabin. Carver's head smacked the console. Blood trickled from a cut above his brow. "Going up!" Haas yelled. "Blowing all ballast. Hold on to something." He hit the emergency drop. Heavy iron weights attached to the bottom of the sub released and fell away, drastically reducing weight. The Nautilus-7 began to rise, but not fast enough, because something grabbed them. You ever see an octopus hunt? They're fast. Faster than you think. 1 second they're floating, almost invisible. The next, 8 tentacles explode into action, wrapping the prey, dragging it to a hidden beak that can crush a crab shell like you'd crush a cracker. Now imagine that on a Leviathan scale. The tentacles, if they were tentacles, came from below, from inside the spiral formation, from inside that black opening on the ocean floor. There were dozens of them, each one at least 60 feet long and 3 feet thick, covered not with suckers, but with something worse, hooks, curved spines of chitin or bone, or something nature never intended to exist. And when they coiled around the hull of the Nautilus-7, the spines pierced, not all the way through. The titanium held, but you could hear it. That sound of metal nails on a chalkboard amplified 1,000 times, and the external spots illuminated the truth in high definition. The tentacles weren't smooth. They were covered in eyes. Hundreds of eyes, small, coin-sized, but functional. And they all turned to look through the viewports. They all looked at the men inside. Haas was pulling the propulsion yoke with all his strength, but the engines just whined impotently against the creature's grip. Webb was praying, not out loud, but his lips were moving. "Our Father who art in heaven. Our Father who art in heaven. Our Father who—" Carver was laughing, a loud, hysterical laugh, teetering on the edge of madness. Look, look, it's magnificent. It's one of the tentacles moved, contracted, and pulled the Nautilus-7 down. Not gently, violently, like a spider pulling a fly into its web. They plummeted 1,000 feet in seconds. The depth alarm was screaming. 10,000 meters, 10,100, 10,200, beyond design limits, beyond what the hull was made to withstand. And that was when they saw the source. The opening in the seabed was now directly below them, and the spotlights, miraculously still working, lit up what was inside. It wasn't a rift. It wasn't a cave. It was a throat leading down into the Earth's crust, so deep that even the most powerful lights couldn't touch the bottom. The walls were lined with the same pulsating bioluminescent flesh that made up the tentacles. Blue, purple, green, breathing, living, and deep down so far, it was just an impression. A suggestion something huge was moving. Something that made the tentacles look like hairs. Something that made the opening look like just a pupil. Because it wasn't a rift, it was an eye. And it was opening. Webb broke first. God, nitrogen monoxide. No, nitrogen monoxide. He started punching the controls randomly, trying to activate systems that couldn't help. Trying to drop ballast that was already gone. Trying to do anything to escape. Haas grabbed him by the shoulders. Marcus, look at me. Look at me. Webb looked. His eyes were wild. Too much white showing around the irises. We need to blow the hatch. We need to swim up. We still have the emergency suits. Marcus, Haas said softly, we are at 10,000 meters. The pressure would crush us instantly. Less than a second. You wouldn't feel a thing. For a moment, Webb considered it. For a moment, you could see in his eyes that he was thinking. Maybe instant is better. Maybe vaporized is better than whatever that thing is going to do to us. But then he thought of his daughters, of Claire, and he grabbed onto Haas and wept. Carver was different. He wasn't crying. He wasn't panicking. He was documenting. With shaking hands, he turned on every camera, every sensor. He was recording everything. Temperature, pressure, chemical composition of the water, light readings, spectral analysis of the bioluminescence. For science, he muttered. For science. They need to know. The world needs to know that one of the tentacles moved to the observation window. And then, slowly, so slowly, it was almost gentle pressed against the glass. The glass designed to withstand thousands of tons of pressure. The glass the size of a pizza and as thick as a human arm. It started to crack. You know that sound? That sound of glass breaking under extreme pressure. It's not a sharp crack like a window breaking in a car crash. It's a deep sound, bass-heavy, like the earth splitting during a quake. And it comes with a visual pattern. The crack starts in the center, where the pressure is highest, and then spreads in star patterns. Thin, whitish lines, growing like inverted roots. Webb saw the cracks spreading, and he understood. When that glass gave way, and it was going to give way, a jet of water the size of a cannonball would blast into the submersible. Water under 10,000 meters of pressure. Water moving so fast, it would cut a human body in half before you could blink. And even if it didn't cut, the pressure would equalize in less than a second. The atmosphere inside the Nautilus-7 would collapse. Lungs would explode. Eardrums would rupture. Blood vessels would burst under the skin. Instant death. Or worse, not instant. Seconds of agony while your body was crushed and drowned simultaneously. Base! Haas was screaming into the radio. Base, respond. We are under attack. Repeating, we are under attack. We need just static. They were too deep. The signal didn't reach. No one could hear them. No one was coming. They were alone. alone with something that shouldn't exist, alone with something the ancient sailors had called Leviathan, alone with something that had lived in the depths since before the dinosaurs, since before fish, since before anything with eyes crawled across the muddy floor of the primordial ocean. The crack in the glass widened. 1 millimeter, 2. Haas took Webb's hand. Webb took Carver's hand. They didn't say anything. What was there to say? I'm sorry? I love you? Tell my family. There was no time. And then ... tentacles let go. Not gradually. Instantly. As if something had changed its mind. As if something had lost interest. The Nautilus-7 began to rise. Slowly at first, then faster as the buoyancy took over. The three men just stared at each other, unable to process what was happening. Why ... double quotes. Webb whispered. Why did it let us go? Carver was looking out the cracked window, looking down, into that open throat on the ocean floor, and he saw it. For a brief moment, no more than 3 seconds, he saw what was down there. Not with his eyes, not really, but with something deeper, something primal, something evolution had buried deep in the human brain millions of years ago, when our ancestors were prey, not predators. He saw the body, the real body. The tentacles were just sensory hairs, minor appendages, extensions. The body was. It was the size of a mountain, the size of a city, and it wasn't attached to the ocean floor. It was moving, rising. Go up, Carver screamed. Go up now. It's coming. Haas didn't question it. He slammed full power to the thrusters. The Nautilus-7 shot up like a rocket underwater. 10,000 meters, 9,800, 9,500. Alarms were still blaring. The cracked glass was holding but barely. Every 30 feet of ascent, the external pressure dropped slightly. Every 30 feet, the cracks stopped spreading a little more. But Webb was looking through the bottom camera, and he saw it, saw the water below them darken. Not because the lights were fading, but because something was blocking the light. Something immense was rising from the abyss, faster than them. 9,000 meters, 8,500. Faster, Webb yelled. It's gaining. I'm at max. Haas roared back. The engines can't. The hull shook. Not an impact this time. Worse, a shockwave. Like when a whale slants its tail near you. The water transmits the force. You don't have to be hit to feel it. The pressure hits you like an invisible punch. Whatever was rising from the abyss, was accelerating. 8,000 meters, 7,500. Carver was laughing again. But this time it was different. It wasn't hysteria. It was something darker, deeper. It was acceptance. It was always there, he whispered, the whole time. Every time I went down, every dive, every expedition. It was watching, studying, waiting. Carver, shut up, Haas said through clenched teeth. No, Carver continued, his voice rising. You don't understand. The bloop, the Julia, the upsweep, all the unidentified sounds we detected over the years. Not geological phenomena, not icebergs. It was this. It was him, calling, communicating, and we ... We finally went deep enough so he could ... His voice failed because the bottom camera had just captured something. Something rising through the water column like a colossal shadow. And for the first time, the shape became clear. It wasn't a squid. It wasn't an octopus. It wasn't anything that had a name in any human tongue. It was radial, symmetrical, like a giant starfish, but with hundreds of arms instead of 5. And in the center, where the arms met ... a mouth. A mouth that took up the entire central circumference. A mouth lined with concentric rings of teeth, thousands of them. each ring rotating independently like the gears of some infernal machine. And inside the mouth, deep in the throat, dot, 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 light. Not bioluminescence, firelight, as if something was burning inside. As if that creature didn't just devour flesh, dot, 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 that digested it through volcanic heat. 7,000 meters, 6,500. The creature was now less than 300 feet below them. And it was opening, the arms spread wide, the mouth widened. You could hear it through the hole. A deep, resonant sound that made teeth vibrate in their sockets. It wasn't a roar. It was a call. And suddenly, the sonar exploded with contacts. Dozens, hundreds, converging from all directions. The other creatures, the ones that had circled the Nautilus-7 earlier, were returning. But not to attack the sub. They were being called. They were being summoned to witness, or maybe dot, 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 to feed. 6,000 meters. 5,500. The cracked glass began to leak. Just a trickle at first, thin as a hair. But it was enough. Freezing ocean water sprayed inside, hitting Webb in the face. He screamed, not from pain, from pure terror. Because if that trickle turned into a stream, Haz ripped a piece of rubber insulation from the console and pressed it against the crack. It wasn't a solution, but it bought a few seconds. Time to surface? Webb gasped. Haz checked. Current descent rate, 22 minutes. We don't have 22 minutes. I know that. The creature was now 150 feet away. You could see the texture of its skin through the camera. It wasn't smooth. It wasn't scaly. It was dot, dot, dot geological, like rock, like coral, as if the creature was so old it had started to fuse with the ocean itself. Barnacles the size of cars covered parts of its body. Bioluminescent algae grew in deep furrows like valleys. It wasn't just a creature. It was an ecosystem, a whole world, and it was rising to swallow another. 5,000 meters, 4,500. Webb was praying out loud now, not the Lord's Prayer. Something older, something in Latin he had learned as a kid in a Catholic church in Boston. Haz was piloting with deadly precision, dodging rock formations, dodging currents, squeezing every ounce of speed from thrusters that were already overheating. Carver was muttering something. Webb couldn't understand at first, but then he realized it wasn't a prayer. It was a description. Carver was narrating what he saw, describing the creature, its movements, its anatomy, for the recording, for posterity. Dot, dot, dot appendages do not move via conventional muscle contraction. Appear to use some form of controlled HYDRODYNA, MICS dot dot, perhaps internal valves regulating fluid flow. Bioluminescence is not common photophore. Light spectrum suggests uncatalogued chemical reaction, possibly involving sulfur or dot dot. He was a scientist to the end. 4,500 feet. Wait, let's stick to meters for consistency with the log. 1,500 meters. 1,200. Engine number 1 was failing now. Temp critical. 5 minutes, maybe less, until complete failure. It's not going to make it, Webb whispered. We're not going to make it. Haas didn't answer, because he knew Webb was right. They could see the surface now. Could see the hull of the rescue ship above them, like a shadow against the light. So close, so impossible. The creature was now just 100 feet away. And then it did something none of them expected. It stopped. Stopped completely, floating, motionless, as if it had cut all propulsion. The three men stared at the camera, confused. Why dot dot dot, double quotes began. And then they understood. The creature wasn't giving up. It was watching, studying, learning. 1,000 meters, 800. Engine number 1 was making a high-pitched sound. Metal grinding on metal. 10 seconds to catastrophic failure. Haas closed his eyes. He thought of his wife, his son, the grandson he hadn't met yet, the Sunday barbecue he promised to host when he got back. Webb thought of Claire, his girls, the way the youngest had hugged his leg at the airport and begged him not to go. Carver thought of the creature, just the creature, of its magnificence, of its horror, of its impossibility, and he smiled. 500 meters, 300, engine number 1 blew. The Nautilus-7 stopped rising. For 3 whole seconds, they floated, suspended, halfway between salvation and damnation. And then ... they started to sink. Slowly at first, then faster, falling back to the abyss, falling back to the creature waiting below. Webb broke the silence with a whisper. "I'm sorry, Claire." Haas clenched his fist. "It was worth it." Carver laughed. "Worth every second." But then ... something grabbed them. Not the creature. Something from above. Cables. Steel cables from the rescue ship. Deep-sea divers had gone down when they saw the Nautilus-7 start to sink, had risked their own lives to hook emergency lines to the sub, and now they were pulling with hydraulic winches, pulling faster than any engine could. 200 meters. 100. 50. The creature didn't pursue. It just watched as the Nautilus-7 was hoisted out of the water, watched as the cables creaked and groaned under the weight, watched as 3 men were pulled back from the threshold of hell, and as the rescue ship's spotlights illuminated the water below ... for a brief moment ... they saw the eye again. That impossible eye. Those concentric rings spinning. That pupil that devoured light, looking up, not with anger, not with hunger, with ... recognition, as if saying, "I see you. I have always seen you, and I will be here when you return." The Nautilus-7 broke the surface at 4:13 a.m. The hatch was popped by rescue crews. Fresh air, blessed, wonderful air rushed into the smoke-filled interior. Haas was the first out. He stumbled onto the deck, legs barely holding him, and vomited salt water and bile. Webb was second. He fell to his knees and wept. Not from relief, from shame. Shame for surviving when so much had gone wrong. Shame for doubting. Shame for praying to die when he should have fought. Carver was last. He didn't stumble. He didn't cry. He just stood there on the deck, looking back at the black water, and whispered, "Thank you." No one knew for sure who he was thanking. The debriefing lasted 6 hours. They were interrogated by Navy officers, scientists, psychologists, even intel agents. They told the story. Every detail, every second. And when they finished ... they were told never, ever, under any circumstances, to speak of this again. For reasons of national security, they said. To prevent public panic, they said. To protect strategic interests, they said. Haas signed the papers. Webb signed the papers. Carver refused. "You don't understand," he told the agents. "People need to know. The world needs to know. There is something down there, something intelligent, something ancient. And if we don't know, if we don't understand, how can we hope to?" One of the agents, the same gray-haired one with the scar on his eyebrow, leaned over the table. "Dr. Carver, let me be perfectly clear. If you speak about this to anyone, your wife, your best friend, your therapist, anyone, you will be arrested under the Espionage Act. You will spend the rest of your life in a military prison. You will never see sunlight again. Understood?" Carver stared at him, and then slowly signed the papers. But his fingers were crossed behind his back. 3 months later, Dr. Alan Carver was found dead in his apartment in San Diego. Official cause of death: suicide by pill overdose. No suicide note was found. No funeral was held. His body was cremated per family request. But here's what they don't tell you, sailor. Before he died, Carver sent a package. Sent it to a journalist he knew. A journalist who had covered controversial scientific discoveries before. The package contained a USB drive. And on that USB drive was every second of footage from the Nautilus-7. Video, audio, sensor, data, everything. The journalist watched the footage once, then destroyed the USB drive, smashed it with a hammer, burned the fragments, scattered the ashes in the ocean. When asked why, he said, "Some things aren't meant to be known. Some truths make you weaker, not stronger. And that thing down there, ... double quotes, ... it doesn't want to be discovered. It wants to be forgotten. Because as long as we forget ... double quotes, ... it can sleep." Commander Robert Hawes retired from the Navy 6 months after the incident. He moved to Montana, bought a cabin in the mountains, as far from the ocean as geographically possible in the continental U.S. He never went near water deeper than a bathtub again. He died in 2003, aged 72. Heart attack in his sleep. But his grandson, who visited, often told a strange story at the funeral. Said that sometimes, late at night, he'd hear his grandfather talking to himself, talking to something, apologizing. "I won't go back," the grandfather would say. "Please, I won't go back. Leave me alone." The grandson thought it was dementia. But I know the truth. Marcus Webb tried to return to normal life. Went back to his wife, to his daughters, to his engineering job. But something had changed. Claire noticed first. The way he would stop sometimes in the middle of a conversation, in the middle of a meal, and just ... listen. As if he could hear something no one else could. "Do you hear that?" He'd ask. "Hear what?" She'd reply, "The knock, knock, knock." But there was no knock, not for her. In 1993, Marcus Webb was driving his family for a holiday. Coastal highway. Beautiful day, sunny. He saw the ocean out the side window and turned the wheel. Drove straight off the road and off a 200-foot cliff straight into the Pacific. The car sank in less than 2 minutes. Marcus, Claire, and their 2 daughters drowned. Investigators called it an accident. Probably fell asleep at the wheel. But a witness, a trucker who was behind them, said something strange. Said he saw Marcus turn the wheel deliberately. Said he saw him looking at the ocean with an expression of ... recognition, like he had seen an old friend or an old enemy, and decided to join them. Now you might be thinking, "Sailor, this is just a story, just a legend, just the kind of tale old salts tell to scare young recruits." But let me tell you one last thing. In 2009, NOAA detected another sound. They called it the bloop variant, same frequency, same signature. But this time, it was detected simultaneously in 3 different locations. Mariana Trench, Puerto Rico Trench, Java Trench. The 3 deepest places on Earth. Like something was ... calling, coordinating, awakening. And here's the part that keeps me up at night. You know how many times humans have gone down to the bottom of the Mariana Trench? Only 3 times. 1960. Jacques Piccard and Doan Walsh in the Bathyscaphe Trieste. 2012. James Cameron in a solo dive. And ... officially. That's all. But I told you about 1987. The one the official records don't show. The one erased from the history books. So why am I telling you this now, in 2025? Because there are plans, sailor. Plans to go back. A private consortium of billionaires and scientists are building a new submersible. Even more advanced. Even deeper diving. They want to go down not just to 11,000 meters. They want to go down to 12,000. Into those crevices sonar can't map. They want to see what's there. They want to make contact. And maybe, just maybe this time, ... what single quotes is down there will answer differently. Maybe this time, it won't be curiosity. Maybe this time, it will be hunger, or rage, or ... worse, ... an invitation. Because look, kid, the ocean covers 70% of the Earth. We've explored less than 5% of it, which means 95% is unexplored, unknown, dark. And somewhere in that darkness, ... somewhere below the light, below the pressure that can crush steel ... something is waiting. Something that was here before us. Something that will be here after us. Something that doesn't care about our science or our technology or our arrogance. So next time you're on a beach, sailor, next time you look out at the ocean and see those waves rolling in, endless and indifferent, remember that beneath those waves lie miles of darkness. Remember that somewhere in that darkness, there are things that saw the birth of mountains and will see their death. Remember that the ocean isn't ours. Never was, and never will be. It's their kingdom. And sometimes when the conditions are right, when the moon is full, when the currents align, sometimes they look up, through miles of black water, through pressure that should make thought impossible. And they wonder ... wonder about the strange little things that sometimes come down. The little metal capsules, the little bags of meat and bone, the little creatures that shine their light so brightly in the dark. And maybe ... just maybe they're getting curious. Maybe they're getting hungry. Maybe they're getting ... ready to rise, not just a few meters, not just a few hundred, but all the way to the surface, to the light, to us. So sleep well, sailor. Sleep tight in your dry, safe bed, and try not to think about the fact that 2/3 of this planet is covered in water. Try not to think about what might be swimming beneath every ship, every boat, every unsuspecting surfer. Try not to think about those knocks. Knock, knock, knock. 5 seconds of silence. Knock, knock. Because sometimes, late at night, when the world is quiet, ... if you press your ear against the pillow, just right, ... you might hear them too. The knocks coming from below, from deep, deep below. Deep, sit your ear against the pillow, just deep below. They are knocking, always knocking, waiting for an answer, and praying for the love of God, sailor, praying ... that we never answer, because something is watching from the dark water. Always has been, always will be. And it's waiting, patiently waiting, for the day we go too deep, for the day we knock back, for the day we finally understand ... some ABYSSES ... Thou kill the lights, kid. Close your eyes, and when you sleep tonight, ... not to dream of deep water. Try not to dream of eyes that glow in the dark. Try not to dream of the pressure, the darkness, the silence. And if you wake up in the middle of the night, ... if you hear something knocking ... something rhythmic, methodical, impossible ... open your eyes. Don't go investigate. Just pull the covers tighter. And remember ... that's just the wind. It's just the pipes. It's just your imagination. It's nothing. It's never nothing. Knock, knock, knock.